I need to update the graphics. Hello out there. We're on the air. It's curling night tonight. Welcome to the latest draw of the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. This is your host, Ryan Olson, with you tonight. I hope to bring on a special guest in a few moments, but we're still testing out the microphone. But I wanted to get you guys into the game as quickly as possible and then hopefully get caught up to speed. If you're watching this on YouTube, which I hope you are because that's the only place that it's on, thank you for tuning in. Let's see here. So blue has the button, the hammer, and they threw into the house, and the yellow team is choosing to ignore it. And I will introduce the colors of the teams now. The dark color blue team is Waddington of Orange County, and then the yellow light color team is Nooris of rural San Diego. And we will be right in a there in a moment with the scoreboard update. They say Norris. Is Norris? Norris is blue. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Thank you very much. There's no score because it's the first end. Okay. So Waddington's with the Yellowstones, and Waddington is playing from Orange County Curling Club, as it's known amongst its friends and enemies. Let's see here. Looks like Waddington was able to hit the blue to the back of the house. Why is this sound? So we're trying to add a microphone to our setup, and we're having fun. So I'm going to be slightly distracted while I figure that out. So this is the last game of pool play for the men, and then there's no women's games on the ice for this draw. They will be back for the evening draw for the last game of their pool play, round robin play. So Norris's next shot, looking to draw around that center. Ooh. So it looks like Waddington's going to make a play on that shot. So Waddington was able to successfully take out that stone. Let's see if this does anything. Okay. Oh, I don't think that does anything. Oh my goodness. Looks like there's some crosstalk on the ice. So what might happen is I might turn the mic over in a bit, or we could also maybe share the mic and see how it goes. Because I have a guest. I want to bring her on. This is awesome. It's awesome to have a guest in the conversation. So as Waddington throws this next here, looks like it's going to be top 10. Let's go to the Manitoba Mutton Manufacturers Association of America's Button Cam, because button rhymes with mutton. So Norris is sitting shot with the hammer starting out. So let's see what the next shot from Waddington's going to be. Let's say they're going to try and draw. Let's do it this way. We're gonna, well, there's an audio mixer on the screen. So this is a interesting, it's a conundrum. Oh, wait, now I see a second mic. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and put it back on. Okay, I think we might have a solution. Let's give it a shot. Welcome to the broadcast booth, which is a corner of the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club. This is from Curl San Diego. This is Micah.
Hi. Hi,
She's
everybody.
going to help with the conversation tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Some of you guys may know me from YouTube chat. Uh,
Hold on. Okay, we're going to try again. Welcome to Micah from Curl San Diego.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm actually also from Orange County curling, so I'm a dual member, but I did start from San Diego, and that's my home club.
Are you able to hear yourself in the headset?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
it's echoey,
Yeah,
the
there's always going to
delay.
be a bit of an echo.
Yeah,
Although I guess we should monitor the YouTube to make sure that they're not hearing any echo on online because you might be hearing it might be being picked up in my mic too. So as long as you're loud and clear.
sounds good.
All right, sweet. So what can you tell us about these teams on the ice?
Well, Team Waddington is actually composed of two brothers who play back end for them. Their lead is Rob Middleton, who is a Canadian, so I think curling is just in his blood. And their second is Ryan Hart. One interesting thing about them is that I played against them during league, and they normally play with their dad. Um, Dad Waddington usually plays lead for them. So it's kind of a family affair.
That's terrific. Are you still hearing yourself?
Oh, I just muted.
No. You don't really need to mute unless you need to take a break or anything,
Okay.
so we're good. Um, I just want to make sure that your mic is on all the sources so there's not an issue. There's one. Let's see here. Sorry, we're just again still getting set up. This is always a work in progress, which is fun. So maybe see how this end is shaping up for Waddington. He was able to make that hit and roll there.
Nicely buried.
Yeah. Oops. I don't know if this is the way you're supposed to do it, but this is the way we are doing it. Are we the skip stones already? No, we are. I think we are in skip
Yeah, we
stones.
are. Clyde is about to throw.
All
It
right, so this is the lead, the skip, the skip for Team Norris. What do you know about this gentleman?
well, the inside joke is that his name is Chuck
Hmm.
because his last name is pronounced Norris.
But it's not spelled Norris in the traditional sense.
No, he's Filipino.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
And you're also Filipino, Filipina?
Yeah, I'm also Filipino. And it's a perfect segue. I'm going to make the announcement that I am part of Curling Pilipinas, and I'm super excited to go to Canada for Pan-Continental Championships.
And that's awesome. And that's next month, right?
End of the month.
That's terrific.
Yeah, in October. I've never been to canada. I think everyone assumed that I would make it to Canada as a Team Medine fangirl, but I'm going to Canada on my own competitively.
And you're going to British Columbia.
Yeah,
That's very cool. I hear it's a beautiful club up there. It's a beautiful part of the country too, Kelowna, right?
yeah, I heard it's their one country. Doesn't really appeal to me much, but
Mm.
I'm probably not even going to see the outside of a curling rink. So no sightseeing, all business.
That's kind of the funny thing about events like this, where you're in areas that have decent tourist attractions, but you spend the entire time in a curling club. In this case, it's San Francisco Bay Area. There's a 49ers game tomorrow. There's a live music festival happening in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco, and we're here at the curling club, just having fun playing games. And you had your uh, set of games, right?
Yeah, I'm playing for the Curl San Diego women's team. I'm actually skipping that team. We had to play as a trio earlier today because my lead, who just had a baby, she's channeling her inner Rachel Holman. Her baby had a situation, so she has to go to San Diego kind of like earlier.
Oh
Um,
goodness.
but we got a three-ender. We still lost the game as a trio, but that three-ender was good.
So this is a shot from Waddington. I'm not exactly sure what they were trying to do. Let's look at the button cam and see the outcome. They hit the blue out of the way, but it exposes that shot stone. And if Norris makes a nose hit on it, they're scoring two this end. This is the last stone coming from Team Norris.
Yeah, he just needs to stick for the deuce.
Yeah, very interesting. I think Norris is looking for its first win of the tournament, and I think Waddington is looking for win number two, if that's correct. No, Waddington is 2-1. They are in men's group A, and they are in a tie for second. So a win here would just have into a really solid position for that second playoff berth. Well, one of four total playoff berths for the men. So this is the last shot coming from Team Norris. Just need to nose that shot stone. They're sweeping on it really hard, and they got it. It rolls to the back of the house, out of play, and that looks to be a score of two for Team Norris. So pretty exciting start. We'll be back in just a moment as we do a quick around the rings, which, if you watch TV, we patented this phrase. No one else uses this around the rings coverage phrase in all of curling. It's ours. Well, I mean, some TV broadcasters say, "Hey, would you mind using around the can we use around the rings to refer to it?" And we suggested alternatives, like what about just kind of uh, circling the perimeter or something like that. Oh, we can call it that. Circling the perimeter because we got perimeters.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know if that's gonna fly.
I mean, that's why we took around the rings, and that's why it's so perfect.
Yep.
All right, so we have four sheets in action this end or this draw. Just to really quickly recap, and then we'll shift back to our main draw coverage, our feature game, as we call it. On sheet one, on the right side of the screen, we have Team Millaret taking on Team Burnt. Millaret's from the Oval Club of Utah. Burnt's from Orange County. Looks like Burnt had the hammer, but they are facing three currently. or actually they're clearing the rocks, and so it looks like Milleris stole the first end, at least three. Pretty important for Milleris to get a win here to stay alive in the hunt for the second playoff spot from the pool. Second sheet of the TV sheet is Norris versus Waddington. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Sheet three is Team Stephanie from Wine Country with the Red Rocks. They're kicking stones there, so they're done with the end. We'll update that in a moment. Taking on Team Lazarowicz from Silicon Valley. Sheet four is Team Cameron facing Team Spangler. They're both from Wine Country, and looks like they're getting set for their second end. We will update the scores throughout the round. Uh, Also, we're keeping live scores on bondspieler.com. Do you have a cool nickname for bondspieler.com? You know,
No, I don't, but I do look at it quite frequently whenever there's a bonspiel to check on scores.
I mean, like tell your friends, like, hey kids, Bondspieler is whack. Bondspieler.com is whack. Yo.
I don't know about that.
No, it seemed very dubious even when I was saying it.
Kind of sus.
What's not sus is that Norris did get that two-ender to go up 2-0 over Waddington here in the second end. Or no, we're now in the second end. So this looks to be the second stone from the lead for Waddington, and this would be
Rob Middleton.
Rob Middleton.
So Rob Middleton used to play with. He and his wife played with a couple at OC for one of the leagues, and that couple's last name was Button. So I think they were called the Middle Buttons. Yeah, OC tends to have team names that are, quirky and fun. Whenever we play League in SD, we normally don't even have team names. Usually it's like, oh, it's whoever is on sheet one or sheet two, or like team one, team two. Um, some folks in OC get really into it. Um, some of the more suggestive nicknames. Um, but yeah, I haven't had the chance to do that myself in SD. We're kind of a small club, barely hanging in there, but we're great about broom stacking. And we're kind of boring with our team names.
Well, I would think there'd be like a lot of Nicotine references for your team names and stuff.
Funny you should mention that. My usual team name is actually Goat Nicholasidine when I go to Bonspiels. It apparently drives people who write out the scoreboards crazy because it's so long, or they don't know how to pronounce it. But it's pretty self-explanatory.
And for those at home who may not know who Nicholas Dean is, who might he be?
One would say that he is the greatest curler of all time, hence the GOAT.
And he's the skip of the Swedish men's team. He's won the world's 4 or 5 times,
Six times
six
total.
times, and then he was able to. He actually has the full set of Olympic medals.
Correct. He was fourth in Vancouver, got a bronze after that, got the heartbreaking silver in 2018,
Depends on your perspective.
lost to the Americans. I was actually rooting for Team Schuster. I was all about the miracle on ice. And then finally got his ever elusive gold in 2022.
And that was a pretty stacked tournament if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and as far as I know, it's the first time that an Olympic final had come down to an extra end. So
Mm,
it was really neck and neck between him and Bruce Mawat.
yeah. Well, and Mao had an awesome season.
Yes, he did.
So looking at the setup here, Waddington's sitting definitely shot, and it looks like Norris is just behind him. And so Norris, I think, is looking to maybe kick out that Waddington shot stone just based on where the broom is. And who's gonna make this shot for Team Norris?
That would be Ryan Montgomery, who plays second for Clyde. He's kind of our troublemaker in San Diego. He's a really funny guy, but he came up with a lot of the nicknames for the curlers who are competing at this event. So we've nicknamed him the troublemaker.
It looks like it's gonna maybe nose hit this and maybe jam on the blue in the back. It does jam. I did saw.
Freeze onto the other one.
Oh, that's true. Good outcome. Opens things up. It's going to make it harder for Waddington to generate some offense in this end. But let's go to the button cam to check the Manitoba Mutton Manufacturers of Association of America. So it looks like Waddington's just going to pick that out.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of space. There's enough separation.
yeah, and it looks like this is it the first or second stone for the second Waddington? In any case, that is Ryan Hardy.
Yep.
He's Canadian.
So curling is also in his blood.
It's interesting. There's a decent number of Canadians that have found their way to the southern climes, including San Diego. There's a lot of snowbirds in Arizona, which really helped the foundation of coyotes curling. And there's Canadians, but there's Canadians that have also never curled before they came down to here and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I'm of the mindset, or I always kind of thought that all Canadians came out of the womb curling. It's in their DNA, so they just, know how to curl already.
And for you, like, how did you find your way to curling?
Well, I've always watched the Olympics, and that's kind of how I was first exposed to curling. I've told John Schuster this, that for the longest time he was the only curler I knew, as like the captain of Team USA. But I never really paid too close attention to curling until about 2017, when it was announced that mixed doubles curling was going to be an Olympic sport, and the Hamiltons were all over TV. Promoting the sport. They were on late night TV shows, and I just got really interested in it. I loved the fact that they were both playing in the men's and women's team, respectively, in addition to playing mixed doubles. So, and of course, the epic historic run of Team Schuster to win that gold medal um, during the 2018 Olympics really sealed the deal for me. I began playing league in San Diego, February 2nd, 2019. Now, Ryan, do you remember when you first started curling?
I started curling. I took a learn to curl in September of 2012. That was my first time, and it was just I was able to be in Utah for a family function. I was able to get away to do a learn to curl, but I wasn't able to join lead until 2016, um, which worked out really well because I was able to learn how to curl. And then by the time that U.S. was in the Olympics to win gold, it's like I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I had watched curling in the Olympics for, several Olympics, but had really no clue what was going on. I just would see it on TV and would be um, entertained by it. I wasn't really paying too close attention to the strategy behind it or to even the players. But over the years, I've grown to like really love the sport. Um, uh, Obviously, the Philippines is not known for winter sports, much less curling. So it's really kind of weird to a lot of people that I'm Filipino and I curl, but it's a cool sport. I highly recommend it to everyone.
Well, it's really cool to see a lot of people living in the West. Oh, pardon me. Good to see a lot of people living in the West, California, Arizona, even up north into Seattle, Portland, and they are able to represent their national teams at international events. And you're going to have the opportunity next month with the Pan Continentals.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it, and I do have to give Team Mexico a lot of credit because their lead Carla actually started from San Diego as well.
Mhm.
So she really um, kind of set the stage. Their team showed that you could be from a non-traditional curling nation and compete internationally and do well in it. So I'm quite proud of them that they've been promoted from Division B to Division A. So I'm excited for them. Looking forward to seeing them in Canada. It'll be fun.
And it's also interesting. This is the Pan Continental Championships. This is for national teams to win their berths into the World Championships.
Correct. Yeah, the counterpart to that would be the European Championship.
Yeah.
So
And then also there's different tiers. Europe has three tiers currently, and for the rest of the world, it's the Pan-Continentals, and there's going to be the A tier and the B tier. And so if you're in the B tier, which I understand Team Filipina is, they're going to be able to hopefully, if, with a really good week, win promotion into the A tier, and then hopefully have a chance in the subsequent year to go to Worlds.
correct. As far as the women's team is concerned, we're just happy to be there and to represent our country and to gain experience, and hopefully inspire the rest of the future generations to embrace curling. For our men's team, however, they really have their eyes set on winning the B division and then being promoted to A division and winning their spot at Worlds.
It's really kind of cool about how, if you're a developing nation, you can get this exposure on a global stage. And then
Yeah, it's kind of unheard of for other sports, but curling is unique in that way, and for that I'm very grateful. And we've been appreciating all the support from really globally. The excitement over the Philippines being admitted into the World Curling Federation as a member nation, and then being invited to PCC has been tremendous.
this one's handing out a shot from, is it Norris's first? It
It
does make
looks,
contact.
yeah,
Oh, and it pushes that yellow further into the rings. So now Waddington's probably going to split the rings and have a really good shot to get two back here in the second end. One of the interesting things about being a member of the World Curling Federation is that there's no individual members; it's all nations that are members. But I don't know if you were involved in setting up the membership in the World Curling Federation, but I understand the membership fee is not super expensive.
I'm not involved in that back end of things,
Okay.
but there have been a lot of people who've been working towards getting recognition for the Philippines as a member nation for over 12 years. I was recruited about a couple years ago, and have been involved since then. But there's a lot of blood, sweat, tears, hard work, finances that went into making this dream a reality for a lot of us curlers.
Oh my goodness. So just looking at the action on the sheet, Waddington had a chance to split the rings and set up a deuce here. He was heavy on his draw and went through the house. And so now Norris, if he hits out Waddington, then Waddington's probably going to try for a draw to blank. No, try for a blank. I'm kind of tired.
It's been a long weekend for Ryan. He's been on top of everything,
Well, I
leading the
appreciate that.
committee.
Yeah. Definitely thankful for all the volunteers that have really made this weekend go as smoothly as it has. We've had some malfunctions. I had the microphone not work on me for about three games, so I was just talking to myself. And then I lost a screw in like a speaker, and I had to disassemble the speaker to pull it out. But uh, one thing that is not being pulled out is Norris's last shot. That's a transition. Oh goodness! So I think it went out of play.
You
So
know what John Cullen would say about this, right?
no, what do we say?
One way ticket to Blanksville.
Ah, yes. And these teams are experienced teams. They're not going to say, "Oh, we can draw for one." They know that they can blink the end and have a chance to score two in the nest end.
Yeah, they're not going to take a force willingly.
So also, I mean, these are all arena club teams. As we watch that stone go sailing through, these are all clubs that play on hockey ice. And as does Truro San Diego, they play in Carlsbad, which is in the northern part of the county. What's for you some of the key differences between the Carlsbad ice Oplex or whatever they're calling it versus ice like this in San Francisco?
A lot of times playing on our craptastic ice on arena, you really have to use a lot of negative ice when you're brooming someone's throw. And there's a lot of places where it's either going to be a dead patch or there's a downhill slope. Sometimes there's a mogul that you have to navigate through. And luck oftentimes plays a role in the shots that you're making. One of the things the girls and I have noticed today is that we're able to make the shots that we're calling, as opposed to having plan B, plan C, plan D, all the way to plan Z when you're playing on arena ice. So it's good to be on perfectly manicured ice like this.
That was the first rock for Norris coming from Mark Kumimoto.
Yes.
It's terrific. And then we see the lead rock coming for Waddington, who again is going to be.
Rob Middleton.
That's correct.
So one story I can share about Mark is actually quite surprising. Um, Ryan, are you familiar with Malort?
Do I know Malort? I wish I didn't.
Now, since you are familiar with Malort, you'll know that it's quite the polarizing drink. Are you on the loves it or are you on the hates it side of things?
I'm on the it's okay side.
Okay,
It's
that's
it's it's smooth going down, but the after effect is a little.
okay. So, given that reputation of Malort to be very polarizing, in some of the almost horrible, horrific reviews on Google, Mark actually brought a bottle of Malort to his high school reunion for everyone to try. Oh, I'm sorry, his college reunion for everyone to try, hoping to get strong reactions from everybody.
Hmm.
Um, but when he tried it himself, he was kind of like the meh meme about it. He's, I guess, very experienced in tasting different, liquors and beverages and stuff like that. So, he didn't feel repulsed by it. There are some people that say that Malort is the best thing since sliced bread, and then the people that do not like it say that it's the worst thing that they've ever had in their mouth. So,
Yeah, Malort's very interesting, and also I don't know exactly when it was first started being made, but there is an era in beverages where medicinal tastes were very in vogue and stuff.
okay.
Like one of the first popular soft drinks was called Moxie, and it's just a very like tastes bitter and it's like stuff you would not associate with modern sodas and stuff. And so Malort is a botanical herbal type beverage. Uses like a dozen or so plants,
Oh, wow.
and I think there's wormwood involved, which is more popularly associated with absinthe.
Okay.
But Malort is not the mind trip that absinthe is supposed to be. It is very medicinal. Um, yeah, so it's definitely an acquired taste.
We're definitely not Team Charlando who love it.
Oh, and they have a fun story to tell about how they got to have Malort for the first time.
I don't think I'm aware of that. I just know that they're known as the team that loves Malort, and they walk around with a spray bottle
Oh
of,
gosh.
of Malort to induct people into the lifestyle.
That's very fascinating. That's also one of the cool things about traveling to curling events is that you get to meet people like Charlando, which is a portmanteau mixture of the couple's names or where they're from, Charlotte and Orlando. Um, but yeah, and I met them online. That was kind of the fun thing during Zoom was during COVID was
The
to
pandemic Zoom stacking sessions.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also just reinforces that the curlers are some of the nicest, most outgoing people that you're going to meet. And they come from different walks of life, but we found a common love in this sport that is silly on so many different ways.
Yeah, it definitely brings people together. We've got a caterpillar situation brewing over here.
Ah, not a condo line. So Norris is definitely doing a great job of controlling the front and the center of the house. Has one buried under initially two guards, and now I hit one of the guards out. So uh, I might just take a pause to grab a photo. So I'm going to let Micah call the action for the next couple of shots, and I'll be right back if you don't mind.
Oh my God, this is so much pressure. Ryan is the more technical sports analyst type of guy. I'm probably just going to share stories or factoids about the curlers on the ice.
How it
Maybe
works.
troll them a little bit.
I'll be right back. Thanks.
So as you can see, on the back of Ryan the second's jersey is actually the name Landsteiner. That jersey is something that Ryan won at the Hollywood on location Bonspiel in Coyotes curling this past summer in the silent auction. He absolutely loves that jersey. I believe Clyde has Schuster's jersey, while I can speak for myself and say that I have Joe Polo's jersey. So even though I'm known mostly as the Swedish team's number one fangirl, I do absolutely love Team USA, and do have USA merch on as well. Now, the interesting thing about this match, if you haven't caught yet, is that both of the seconds for both teams are named Ryan. I just thought that was kind of like a cool factoid to know. Ryan Hardy actually came up to me yesterday and introduced himself and said that, "Oh, everyone seems to know you. Um, I'm Ryan," and I told him that, yeah, we've met before because I curled for 2 seasons at OC League. Yeah, you just meet so many people curling that sometimes you kind of forget who you've met. Up next is Owen McLaughlin throwing third stones for Team Nooris. One interesting thing about Owen is that he's actually one of the founding members of Curl San Diego. Curl San Diego was founded in 2006, and Owen's been playing every single league, every single position, and has even served as a long term board member of Curl San Diego. So it is no surprise that his nickname is Founder. His other nickname from the team is actually No Pants because he's one of those few people who will curl with shorts on because we're in Southern California and it's warm. We're now waiting for Bob Waddington, Bill's brother, to throw his shot. Based on where Bill has his broom, I'm guessing he wants to tap the blue shot stone in the middle of the house. I don't have access to the overhead cam, so it's kind of hard for me to see for sure, but that's kind of what I'm guessing what he's trying to do. I don't know if it's already been mentioned during the broadcast, but both Bob and Bill Waddington are hockey players. They curl and play hockey out of the same rink, or at least they have in the past, and that's Westminster Rink. Yep, it looks like he did kind of tap it. Clyde looks like he wants to put up a guard based on where he is aiming his broom and where he tapped earlier. There's definitely no shortage of hats on this sheet. Looks like 3 out of the 4 members of Curl San Diego have hats on, and Bob Waddington also has his hat on. It looks like Bill wants his brother to take out the blue stone, probably to light too. hit and stick indeed.
Wow. Okay. So lots of rocks in play, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't have access to the overhead camera, so I don't know
One
like
second.
who shot and all that stuff.
Well,
Oh,
we'll find out right now. It's definitely Norris with Waddington sitting 2 and 3. If they're able to get out that Norris shot stone, they could get 3 points. But there's a lot of cover for that Norris shot stone.
your stereotypical junk in the front league game, but yeah, it's buried.
One thing I noted is that arena club teams, they do a lot of draws, and they're kind of bringing that to this ice when takeouts might be a more straightforward strategy. Just the more rocks you put in play, it just makes the strategy so much more complicated in the end because you have to figure out, can I push some stones aside, or if I get rid of one stone, am I all of a sudden sitting six or giving up five and stuff, and it makes it very complicated.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up that point because, as you know, I watch a lot of your broadcasts on YouTube, and I have noticed in the past for MoPac Playdowns that everyone's been drawing. Um, but it seems to me counter to what we normally do on arena ice, at least for our ice in San Diego. Like it's normally a hit and stick because the ice conditions are so temperamental that it's really hard to draw, um, and make the shots that you want to call if it's a draw. I know for me personally, this is such a challenging event because I'm having to draw all the time, and my LSDs for this weekend have been atrocious. Um, I I like to throw hits. Um, Peel weight is my favorite shot. The throw through is the next favorite shot.
Well, I would think that takeouts would be easier on this ice because it's a faster ice in general, so you don't have to necessarily expel as much energy as you would on hockey ice. And also the ice is more predictable in terms of its curl.
Yeah, I think so. But I think one of the things that happens for people that are normally arena curlers who play on dedicated ice for the first time or are not very experienced in playing on dedicated ice is that they do run into a lot of problems where every single shot they're throwing is overthrown.
hmm
And so it builds a little bit of insecurity or fear from throwing the hits. At least I know for my team, when we went to Coyotes for the first time as a team for Donna Perky, I think the first two games we played, most of the shots were going through
hmm
because we're just used to throwing the way we would throw a shot in San Diego, and dedicated ice is so much faster.
Yeah. This is an interesting turn to this end. Norris, with his first stip stone without a hammer, was heavy on his draw. And Waddington, I think, wanted to promote one of the yellows closer to the button and actually tapped one of theirs through the house. It looks like there's a possible situation for Waddington to like kind of do an angle run back or tap back to tap those two yellows onto the blue and then get the blue to go out. But that's a tricky shot. Are you seeing anything?
Yeah, in terms of the Waddingtons, they've got their work cut out for them. They can probably score one, depending on where Clyde ends up, but it looks as though Clyde is going to try to draw one in, maybe top four or maybe even back four. Um, and then it's going to be difficult for um, Bill to remove both of those blues.
When also, yeah, putting one more in or even a guard would be sufficient. The weight definitely looks to be. I don't know what you think about the weights.
Looks like it's running like it's hot.
Yeah, I would agree. The ice has kind of tricked me a couple times this weekend. This looks like it's going to end up wrecking on the yellows in the house, but just fine. And actually, it works out really well for Norris because if you look at the overhead here, there's no way to move that blue onto the yellows to angle it towards the shot blue. They're looking to see if they can do something, but I
like
don't.
a slash or something, but realistically, they're forced. It's looking like you're gonna have to take a draw on either side.
Mhm. They're dialing up for that. I just, I mean, I guess it's possible they could. I'm not saying it. I was saying it's possible that maybe to angle the blue onto the yellow and then maybe spin the yellow to the forefoot or something. But I'm not saying how they could spin it. I mean, the situation here is that there's not a ton of risk. I don't see. I say this. I don't see a way they can get rid of the yellows to have Norris score multiple points. I think at most Waddington would be giving up a steal of one. It's still a tricky shot. His shots away. I think looking to move some granite around, rattle some skeletons.
Making granite fly.
Yeah, that probably went as well as you could have thought. And it still ends up with Norris stealing one.
Well played end for Team Norris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they definitely seem to have Waddington kind of chasing at various points in the past couple ends, where Waddington needs to, do some takeouts or move some rocks around to even have a chance to score one.
Yeah, I wonder how much fatigue is coming into play in terms of Team Waddington, because I know that they had um, a draw right before this, whereas Team Norris had the middle of the day draw off. I don't know if they went back to their hotels and napped or had food or whatever, but I don't know how much fatigue is coming into play at this point of the game.
And that's a really good point, is that on arena ice, you have a very set time limit to play your game for the most part, because, once you run out of time, they do the Zamboni on the ice and they start chasing you around until you leave. Um, that doesn't happen. That's a safety violation, but you don't really have like 2 hours or less to set up, play the game, and clean up, and then you're done. Uh, so that's you're usually playing six ends. These are eight end games. That's so over the course of the weekend, you're playing an extra game, even though you're playing maybe the same number of games. So that could also be leading to fatigue.
Yeah, but they can't be as tired as female sweepers though, because the girls are playing 5 games this, past 2 days. We're doing the full round robin rigmarole. I feel really bad for my teammates because we lost one of our players due to a family emergency. So, we're playing as a trio. So that's a lot of sweeping. So,
It is, and it catches up to you too. I found that out when during COVID when we were playing triples or three-player teams, and I was throwing lead rocks, so that meant I was sweeping 5 stones in a row, and that's not many more stones than you would sweep during a regular team setup. It's just that you're doing it for 5 stones in a row, and it adds up,
mhm.
especially when you were wearing their mask.
Yeah.
So that was a great shot from Norris's lead, I believe. That was Dan Mark, I believe.
Mark Kumimoto. Yeah.
Yeah, he prefers Yellowstones. And his walkout song is Chacharon by El Jumbo.
Yeah, I have no idea what that song is, but one of the things that we did as a team, because we were so excited that we had not one, not two, but 3 San Diego teams participating in MoPac Playdowns, was that we all filled out a questionnaire slash survey with, fun little factoids about team members. Mark was one of those very challenging individuals to get information out of. Some people got really into it. Full disclosure, I kind of wish I was a guest commentator for Team Clapham's game because their members have a lot of fun factoids.
Well, some people wrote personal essays about how they discovered curling, or how one bio was about how they're like highly sought over for their curling prowess and stuff. They've been funny to read.
I think I know the person you're talking about, but yeah, that individual is quite popular, given their exponential growth in the sport.
Hmm. Well, looks like we had a measure. You can see the most exciting measuring device in all of sport in the background on the left side. It looks like a weather vane or a TV antenna.
When in doubt, measure it out. One of the things that I know curlers from San Diego were very surprised to hear about was the no tick rule being exercised in this event.
Hmm.
None of us can throw ticks on arena ice, on our ice at least, if we wanted to. So that was kind of like, well, we can't really throw you know, a tick if we wanted to. So that's not really going to be an issue for us. But it's become kind of a meme, especially when you're around Ryan, because of the 6-inch tick. If you see him this weekend, ask him about it.
Okay. So this is the last rot from Waddington's second, and that would be
Ryan Hardy.
Ryan Hardy. He's Canadian, by the way. I'm sure we mentioned it before, and I will definitely mention it again. Hailing from the Alberta Prairie, he curled in high school in Carstars and at university in Edmonton. And here he's going to pick out that blue that was kind of guarding those shot stones. The end was really shaping up really good for Nooris, and they're still in a pretty good shape, although there's a potential double there for Waddington if that path stays open.
Yeah, it looks like Clyde wants Ryan to put up a center guard, though,
Yeah.
to make it difficult for that double.
Yeah, if Waddington's able to get those blues out, then the chances of them scoring two or more points definitely increases pretty well. No, he's doing a takeout. Just looking at the weight in the line, he's trying to take out that yellow in the back corner, and it looks pretty close. Oh, it doesn't get over though.
Oh,
That's always fun. I mean, the one of the fun things about this sport, and you've watched it on TV, is that just kind of speculating on what the shot could be, what they could be trying to do, or what the outcome could be. It's all one of the fun parts of the game. And I don't know about you, but the first time I was at a curling tournament in the warm room, just like talking to other curlers about like, oh well, they might be doing this or they might be doing that, and it was like they do it on TV. We can do this in the warm room, and here I am doing this on a YouTube broadcast with you and stuff. It's one of the great fun things about the sport.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of anticipation of moves, and speculating, but it's really difficult to know for sure. Even when you're on the ice and watching your competitors, like, oh, like you're trying to kind of imagine, like, they're probably going to guard, or they're probably going to put it back 12, or that sort of thing. But you never know until they actually throw the rock and give it to the sweepers.
Well, this was an unfortunate shot for Team Waddington. I think they were hoping to get some of those blues out, and they end up taking out themselves. So now it's Norris sitting two in a pretty wide open house. The double is still there, and now I think the guard would be in place.
Yeah.
And I think the question would be, what does Waddington do to try and get out of this jam they're in? This is the second. No, this is the first of two Vice stones from Norris's Vice, and that would be, who is that?
Owen McLaughlin.
Okay. Is there a fun fact about him?
Oh, I already shared it that
Okay.
he usually curls with shorts on, so one of his nicknames is No Pants. His other nickname is Founder because he has been involved with the club since 2006. He was one of our founding members.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Yeah, one of the things that I know we as a club kind of realized is that um, our team members, especially the ones that have been around a long time and have competed in a lot of events, are really bad about keeping track of their curling resume. So when we were putting together our bios, people could not remember which events they played in and what placements, if any, they had and what positions they played. But Owen, being our one of our founding members, has competed in so many events. Um, the bio that
Oh, look
he
at
he
that.
submitted does
Nice
not
double
do it
takeout.
justice. Yeah, that's a nice one.
Definitely, I think it was an end saver there from, is that Bob Waddington's
Yes.
first?
Yeah.
And there, he seems to maybe be related to Bill. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yeah, they're brothers. Um, and they normally play with their dad. So Bill and Bob play back end. They usually have their Dad Waddington, play lead, and it's you know somebody else who plays second for them in regular leagues. And they're always entertaining to play against and play next to. That I can attest to.
When I think I met the Waddingtons at the Orange County event that I was at with you, the New Year's event, or
Reindeer
yeah,
games.
okay.
Yeah, it's an annual event. People get pretty into it. I definitely was very festive in my ugly sweater.
It was talked about goats. It was very much a tribute to the goat. Oh goodness, this was an interesting shot from Norris. It definitely moves the yellow aside. So this is going to shape up to be. I think the door is slightly opening for Waddington in this end. Uh, he was in a great position with that last shot where the yellow is like right in front of the blue, and now the yellow has been pushed to the side, and so now as he gestured with the broom, he could pluck that blue out and roll to the wing, and so then he's sitting two, kind of that setup that he had a couple ends ago, where if he was able to successfully execute, he could do that two very easily.
Yeah, I feel like it needs to be a little bit more conservative in the weight, though,
Mhm.
because you don't want to roll out or also set up a double.
Right, it's going to be the tricky part about this. And I think one thing that you may have seen, I think a lot of curlers see, is that you call for a hit and roll, and it's like, oh, that was a nose hit. We'll do the hit and roll again, more eyes or less eyes. That was a nose hit. It always seems like you want to hit and roll, and it doesn't hit and roll enough, like 80% of the time.
Yeah, one of the things that someone who's played Vice for me several times at Bonspiels um, has told me numerous times is to keep it simple, or at least simpler. Like either we draw or we hit and stick. To quote him, none of this hit and roll stuff because we can't get the roll.
But it looks like Bob Waddington did it. He was able to pluck that blue out, as I predicted, and was able to roll.
Now, do you think the stones have enough separation to prevent a double, though? Because it looks from the tapping of the brooms by Clyde and Owen, it looks like they're going to try for a flat double.
That's a really flat separation, I guess. Um, as Micah was noting, it's kind of the angle of the rocks that helps determine how likely a double is a success. And so when the stones are really parallel to each other, it's harder to make that double. They're not entirely parallel in this case. So it is possible to maybe hit the inside of the yellow that he has the broom next to and then roll over. It's going to be tricky though. And just like that, we are in skip stones. He's asking for more eyes. Why? So what's he? What do you think he's doing with this turn here? He's going counterclockwise. So I think he's throwing up weight and wants to hit the inside. But what are you seeing?
He's probably going to try to flop it over. Like he's getting rid of one and then hoping to flop over so that he's close to the other one that's remaining.
Sweepers got off it pretty quickly. Okay. So it does get rid of one. Not the double attempt as we were guessing. It does roll to the wing, and Waddington wastes no time to put the room down to just hit that blue out, and then Waddington just like that will be sitting two, and Nooris, if they hit one of the yellows out, Waddington just hit that blue out hopefully, and then they got a deuce. So just textbook. They do have curling textbooks, by the way.
And strategy books as well.
Yes. One, a couple of those books were written by a member of the San Francisco club. Looks like this hit's going to be made and needs to stick in the house.
Oh, if he rolls out, that's not good.
Nope. But mission accomplished by the skip, Bill Waddington, who first tried curling following the 2010 Olympics and has been curling ever since. He was the club president for 5 years, winning the occasional league championship and winning a five and under for MoPac, and representing the OCCC at national playdowns.
Yeah, one of the things about Bill is that he's actually one of the very dedicated volunteers for OC curling. He normally teaches learn to curls, and he's even taught skills clinics and given refresher courses for curlers that want to up their game.
And I've always said volunteers are the lifeblood of any curling club, and you know curlers like Bill. I'm sure. I mean, you do a lot for your club,
I
and
try to.
and also social media online to kind of help spread the enthusiasm for the sport. It's really important. So looking for a hit. It's over curling. This could be
Yeah,
disastrous.
yeah, they're going to be disappointed by that because just like that, um, they've let Team Waddington back into this game.
I mean, Waddington has to get in the house,
Just
but
got to touch paint.
they are sitting two. And I said they have two in hand, and they're going to be searching that bush for a third one. And there's a little bit of backing too. If they draw into that yellow by the tee line, they can wick off of it to slow it down if they need to lose speed. It just needs to get there. So here is a shot, a draw for four. As Micah said, all they have to do is touch paint.
Three. Draw for three.
Yeah,
And then we'll be even Steven.
it's a
All
whole new ball
square.
game.
Yeah, he just can't be heavy. Like he can be back 12, but stick around.
He chose a wide path. It needs to sit down.
Oh no, he's going to get
Norris is
defensive
on.
swept.
Oh no. But we were talking earlier. You were mentioning that the ice is so much faster than what you're accustomed to on arena hockey ice. That it kind of I think kind of tricked Bill here and allows a slight out for Norris. It does let Waddington jump back into this game, the thick of things, as we are now in the fifth end. We're playing pretty fast. As you may have noticed, there is no halftime break that you might see in a lot of curling events. Do you miss that? Uh, being able to take a pause every end, or like a longer break of 5 minutes halfway through.
Not really, because one of the things that's often missing when it's like a TV broadcast, which is quite rare in the US. In Canada, it's just commonplace. Um, like when you have a televised curling game, they normally don't show the lead stones. Um, they're normally on commercial break when the lead stones are being thrown. And I mean, I acknowledge my personal bias, but like if Team Medine was playing, I I'm disappointed that I don't get to see Christopher Sundgren's stones because, you know, I consider him the world's best lead too. I think he's very underappreciated in what he does. And I know I can speak for myself as someone who started as a lead and has been a skip exclusively. A good lead is necessary, and you basically need to have a good lead in order to have a fighting chance
Oh yeah.
as a team. the leads set up your stone, and if the setup is not there, if your center line guard or your corner guards are not where they need to be, it's an uphill battle, and you're chasing the whole end.
So speaking of Canadians, did you mention that Rob is a Canadian as well?
Yeah, yeah. Rob Middleton is a Canadian, and he's also surfer. Yeah, I believe his profile picture on Facebook is of him uh, on a surfboard surfing the ocean. One thing I can share about Rob is that I believe he's the president for OC Curling.
Ooh.
Um, I know that he's involved with some of the um, dedicated ice facility work that's been done, as is Bill. With the closure of the Southern California Curling Center, there's a serious need for um, dedicated ice in Southern California. So I know Hollywood Curling is looking into it, and I know OC Curling is also polling their members to see what the interest is and how feasible it'll be. Because it's just quite a difference. Like when SCC was here and we had access to dedicated ice, and there were local events that drew a lot of diverse teams. Um, Everyone's games improved. I know for me personally, that was responsible for my skill increasing exponentially. It used to be that during San Diego leagues, I would not be able to beat Clyde's team. That's something that I've done repeatedly over the past couple of years as a result of um, practicing at SCC.
Mhm.
There would be times when I would go there and throw 88 stones, sometimes all one turn, and make some silly games for myself just to try and experiment and try to get better. But yeah, if I ever win the lottery, one of the wish list items is to definitely build a dedicating curling club. Now, if it's an obscene amount of lottery jackpot, I might build two because, as I mentioned earlier, I am a member of both Curl San Diego and OC Curling Club. So
But that's a very great point. It's great to see a lot of kind of camaraderie and shared membership among the three Southern California clubs. And like these clubs are not close together to each other.
but that speaks to the passion and the dedication that curlers have for curling. The 12 people from Curl San Diego who are here represent the majority of the members in San Diego. We're a very small club. If I had it my way, we would have had three men's teams here, maybe two women's teams, which is basically the entire membership. But it was just not feasible. But we're the hardcores. We're,
Mhm.
we're the ones that will show up for a 9:30 p.m. Saturday draw on arena ice just so that we can curl. We're obviously always striving to have more members, um, but we take it day by day. Uh oh.
No, this is looking pretty good, I think. So it ends up, it needed like another half stone at curl to be molto bueno. So there's a little bit of a separation. And so Norris is looking to maybe take that on or end up in the 4 foot. There's a backstop, so it's not the best outcome, but like, definitely not a total miss.
Yeah, the top half of the house is completely open, so there's ways to draw around it on either side.
And so Norris has the hammer, looking to generate multiple points here, extend their lead. This looks to be hanging out a little bit, and not in a cool way. And it just swings on by that yellow. And so now Waddington is kind of able to take control of this end. Although if Norris is ever able to get rid of that yellow, Norris might be able to do so, generate some power, as it were. Did you ever see Back to the Future too,
Yes.
with the hoverboards?
Yep.
And like the bulldog one is like because it's got more power. So we'll see if there's some power here in this end.
But not too much power because I think Bill wants Bob to throw a guard or maybe
Yeah.
get it like top eight just to make things difficult.
I think if they draw around those guards that are in the center of the near the center of the sheet, kind of tuck it. Well, that's not what they're doing. But yeah, they want to control the top here, and it's looking pretty good. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so now they've got two first and second shot. I just received feedback from the president of Curl San Diego's board who's watching the live stream. He wants to remind me that I should only build one dedicated curling facility and that it should be in San Diego. So if any of the OC Curling Club board members want to chime in either on the YouTube chat or on Twitter, state your case.
They should take the hangar deck of the USS Midway in downtown San Diego and turn that into a curling club. Well, I was joking. I think I joked with you online that it would be kind of cool to have like a cool motto for Curl San Diego. Oh, he's not happy with that. Does a little spin, and that
Yeah,
rock
he
is
just
gonna.
flashed. He's gonna take out his own.
Oh goodness. Yeah, he's not happy. And that was who was that?
That's Owen McLaughlin, the
Okay,
vice for Team Norris.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a bit of an uncharacteristic mistake for Owen.
yeah. Well, I think maybe part of it is, and you've been on the ice, is I've heard that, and this is not entirely uncommon, that rocks run straighter when they're faster, and then when they're slower, they tend to dig in and curl more. Have you seen that this weekend?
Yeah, yeah. There, but it depends on which sheet you're on too, because
Hmm.
there's definitely certain sheets that are straighter to begin with, where it's harder to get the curl out of the rocks. Yeah, so it looks like on this sheet, the path that they're both both vices are throwing down is a straighter, faster patch because Bob kind of looked like his body language looked like he was disappointed too.
Hmm.
But nothing too bad in terms of outcome because it looks like they're sitting three.
Yeah.
So now Norris is the one that needs to chase.
When he was looking at making a play at that top rock, but that's not going to help too much because even if they get rid of that yellow and stick around, there's two yellows that will outcount wherever Norris ends up.
Yeah, it looks like he dialed down the weight that he wants Owen to throw, um, so that he does stick around.
That makes sense. Well, that's still like control weight there. Sweepers are on it. And also like depending on the path, like sometimes it like stays straight on one path and it over curls in the other. Wow.
Well, he did move Granite.
Yeah, what a great shot. And Norris is sitting shot. So against my prediction, so goes to show that I'm not always right. I'm just right most of the time. Uh, and I'm joking, of course. But great shot. That was also a great recovery. A nice bounce back from that last shot that McLaughlin threw.
Yeah, he redeemed himself.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got my vice, Misty Daniel, on the chat, wishing Team Norris good luck.
Well, Waddington looks to still be in control of this end as Bill makes his way down the ice. Uh, his bio notes that among his less prouder curling moments is curling with his father and brother, where during frequent sweep, mutiny, and strategy second guessing, he still typically maintains a winning record. It's always interesting when families curl together. Like sometimes like families really get along, and sometimes families do not.
Yeah, none of my family members would want to curl or even really know what curling is. Just that they know that it takes a lot of my time and my money.
This looks
um,
pretty good, by the way. just need to chip it out. They don't want to jam. Oh, it's starting to jam. Oh.
Peanut Butter Central.
That's a good reference. Let's look at the overhead. Not a bad outcome though for Waddington. It pushed the blue back.
Yeah, and they're still lying two.
Yeah.
So one thing I heard about from Team Waddington is that when they were playing an event in Coyotes, I guess they were the featured game, and you had Cassie Endicott
Oh,
as
sure.
your guest commentator, and she took a creative approach to the commentary. Now, Dad Waddington apparently was listening in and watching and was texting the Waddington brothers, "You guys got into a bar fight? What's that all about?" Um, so in full disclosure, like I'm here for, for memes and trolling of uh guys that I know well from both curling clubs that I belong to. Obviously, I know the San Diego guys a lot better because I've been involved with that club a lot longer. And as the telecast continues, I might share some funny stories, especially the ones that happened last night. We were here until almost 11:30 last night, celebrating one of our teammates' birthdays. It's actually today is his birthday, but he was on warm room duty as a volunteer last night, so we all just kind of hung out here.
Oh, this is gonna stay out. It is gonna stay
Oh,
out.
it's a drag.
Wow.
They're gonna try to drag it in as much as they can. Oh, I think they just did it.
Wow, that was a great sweep job there.
That's a thank you sweepers moment.
And they put the O in the Ohlone land.
Oh, Ryan is happy about that. Mr. Troublemaker raised his hands up.
And you bring up a great point about the broadcast is that, this is being broadcast to a general audience. You don't know who might be watching or listening. And also these teams are not professionals. I mean, it's hard to say there's professionals in the sport of curling, but if there's a ranking of professionals, these teams are definitely not professionals. So you don't necessarily want to be overly critical because these are teams that are learning, they're developing. Like some of the teams that were put together for Curl San Diego, those are new formations, right, for this event. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, Team Clapham is actually a brand new team. They've got their lead is Dr. Dan, and he started curling in April when Tyler George visited San Diego and did an event for us. So yeah, he played 4 league games, and then I brought him to OC curling for a pickup game, and then convinced him to go to MoPac Playdowns. But
Well,
see, that's one of the things that is so special about Curl San Diego. Even though we're a small club, we do have very hardcore, dedicated members, and I personally, when I see someone that reminds me even remotely of myself when I first started, like someone with the passion, someone who seems to like have fallen in love with the sport,
mhm.
like I want to nurture them and basically drag them to all the events, and expose them to a bigger world outside of San Diego, because there's not much in Carlsbad in terms of curling, as far as curling is concerned. So you know the link to this broadcast has been shared on Curl San Diego's social media accounts. If there are other curling games going on, that's on live stream either on Facebook, on teams individual accounts, or on YouTube. We typically share that with our members on our private Facebook groups, um, just to keep exposing people to the sport.
So Norris had a long chat to think about what to do with that shot. Uh, they really can't do that draw. They could do that draw again, but they're opting to make a play on that shot stone. That was a great shot by Ann Waddington. I don't know which one it was. Was that Bill or?
Uh,
Bob.
Bob is the vice and Bill is the skip.
Okay, so that was Bill's last shot. This is the hammer coming for Norris. And so this is to, I think, to pick out that yellow and sit just one. I mean, if they hit it right on the schnoz, maybe two, but I don't know if they can get it on the schnoz, which is a technical curling term. Lots of weight. The broom looks like it's hanging out a little bit. It's trying to just need to pick it out, and
Oh, he did.
mission accomplished. Norris forced a one, but it was a hard fought one.
Yeah, he had to work hard for that one.
I always like to joke after a tough end that was that was a hard fight for just 1 point.
All that work for one. I definitely had one of those moments earlier today.
Yeah, I mean some of the games have been I see you've been facing a lot of different levels of competition this weekend because there's a lot of teams that have quote unquote been here before.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, my team was seeded fifth out of six teams. I think just by default because my team, the exact same lineup, and women that I brought to the Donna Perky curling classic earlier this year, is my same team for this event.
Hmm.
And I think the six seeded team had not had any Bonspiel experience. However, that's kind of just misleading even when you're reading through bios and teams are self seeding, because just because a team has never played a bonspiel before doesn't mean that they've been on the ice less than us.
Hmm.
They're from a club that has access to frequent and consistent ice. Like, they have multiple days of leagues. Um, like I said, we had 4 games during the spring, um, and I think to date, 4 during the fall.
Mm.
So a total of 8 games, and we're right about October. So that's not a lot of playing. But our goal has always just been, to keep improving. And, like I said, we did have that game where we scored a 3-under. So that's a good outcome for us, even though in the end we did lose that game. And again, playing three-handed was a tough thing. The whole entire game was thank you sweepers.
And you mentioned the benefit of having Southern California Curling Center when it was open for about 18 months. It closed just over a year ago. To be able to access dedicated ice within 2.5 to 3 hours of driving, depending on LA traffic. But we have three dedicated ice clubs in our region, and so for San Diego to go to Coyotes, it's not a super long drive, but it's a drive or a very quick flight. So there's still access to good curling surfaces in our region.
Yeah, and having the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club, in Northern California is also accessible. Like it was a bit longer of a drive for some of us who did drive. The majority of the team flew, but some of us, myself included, did drive here.
Mm.
So it's a bit of a drive, but it's doable. Like we can come to events like MoPac Playdowns. Um, and we're very glad for the opportunity and the experience to play here. It still would be nice to win some games, but
Let's see here. But also, talking about the San Francisco club, both San Francisco and Coyotes clubs, they are within a couple miles of an airport, which is really awesome. I was able to take the bus from Oakland Airport to like a block away from here and stuff.
oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
that's
little bit harder in Arizona, but Arizona's pretty car centric,
yeah,
but still it's super convenient.
yeah.
Really quickly, let's go around the rings. It's been a while since we've updated those games. All these stores are on bondspieler.com. And when I say bondspieler.com, Micah, what do you think of?
Curling scores.
I was hoping for like apartments or something like that, or pet walking duties.
I got nothing for you. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Bond Spieler is good, which is Bond. They put the Bond in Spieler, bondspieler.com. So the scores are there after all that setup on sheet one. This is a very crucial game for Group B for the men. Team Mellerit of Oval Curling out of Utah with Red Rocks. They are up to a sizable 8-2 lead over Team Burnt. Uh, this game really is going to be crucial to deciding the two teams from that pool that advance to the four-team playoff. Sheet two is our feature sheet. We're watching it right now. You know what's going on. Sheet three is Team Stephanie with Red Rocks from Wine Country taking on Team Lazarowicz from Silicon Valley. Uh, Lazarowicz, they had a slow start. They played some really tight games where we're just on the wrong side of those two games. But very quickly they won a crucial game against Burnt earlier today, and they are up 5-3 right now over Stephanie.
Are they the team with the interesting configuration of stones on their jackets?
I would need to look.
There's a team with a poop emoji curling
Oh,
stones on their
I know
jackets.
who they are.
Okay.
uh, they're not on the ice. That's Team Hurst from the Oval.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
That's your home club.
Yeah, I know. I'm not necessarily super fond of the categorical names, but you know, talking about the creative naming and stuff. It's part of the game. I understand. But that's Team Hurst, and gosh, I'm trying to recommend. Oh, their lead team name is Complete Sheet Show, and you had to say that very carefully, or I get in trouble from YouTube, the FCC, and Chuck Norris for some reason. Uh, they are actually going to finish atop the second group and will be going to the playoffs, regardless
Okay.
of what happens tonight, as I understand it.
Okay.
The last game on the ice, sheet four, between Team Cameron and Spangler of Wine Country. This is all Spangler to this point, pitching a shutout 8-0. So I'm happy that we had the most competitive game on the ice.
It's definitely a close one.
Yeah, and Norris again is keeping the pressure on Waddington. Waddington has a hammer, but Norris looks to be sitting three. You know, Waddington, the brother Waddington, they're both brothers. I don't know who's older.
I think Bill is older and Bob is the younger one.
Okay.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's the case, especially given that Bill is the one that's skipping, and just the dynamic on the ice too.
Hmm.
In general, if you've ever played against them or played next to them, you kind of get the vibes that it's Bill that's the older brother.
This could be something.
Oh, it went over.
Yeah, it did go over. It does clear one of the blues that was sitting for, up to 3 points, and it does open things up. So
Hmm.
not a bad outcome. I wonder if they were hoping for more and just over curled, just based on how they rolled over.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you can be a little too greedy on the ice, or also like want a shot made so much that you kind of overthink it.
And I think we've run into that sometimes during some games where, the shot's there. Why are we making the shot? You know what we'll do? We'll do that shot again. And then we miss that shot. We should have made that shot. It's there. What are we going to do? We're going to try that shot again. And all of a sudden, here it is, like 6 shots later. And it's like, well, that shot's not working out. We need to try something different. And they decide, they reach that conclusion far too late.
Oh, it looks like they're having a team confab. That's a terminology that I stole from Lorna Reddick, who normally calls games for World Curling Tour events, mostly the Swiss events
Hmm.
earlier in the summer. she's British or I guess Scottish, and she uses things like, "Oh, they're having a team confab."
I like to use the phrase cracker a lot in terms of if it's a really good competition, which
Ah,
is a Britishism. Let's see here. The double is there. I'm going to keep saying the double is there. That's my hobby horse for this weekend. It looks pretty good. He's going to do one roll over, pushes it back. Not a double takeout, but probably the next best thing.
yeah, because now it leaves him lying too.
Yeah. And the shot stone looks pretty well buried, especially when you look at it head on. Seeing about 20% of it. I think they're going to try and curl to it. If you look at the overhead, it's behind the tee line.
Yeah, so the top of the forefoot is wide open if they can get there. Looks like it has some curling to do.
Actually, it looks pretty good. It's slowing down a little bit. There's a little bit of backing. You're right. I think it needed maybe another couple inches, but really, really solid.
Yeah.
And just like that, the advantage switches back and forth. Looks like we do have a final on sheet one. Team Mallory scored two in the fifth, and Team Burnt had decided that's enough. So Malera wins 10-2, and that makes the playoff standings a lot more complicated for Group B.
Are we going to have to get down to LSDs?
I think LSDs are going to have to come into the equation. Um,
Make people do math. I'm down for that.
well, and the other thing is that the first tiebreaker is head to head, but I think the three teams that are tied, and I guess we'll see how the pool ends up. But right now we have two teams tied at 2-2, and if Lazarevich wins that game or Stephanie wins, then there's a three-way tie. So this Group B, man, Group B, as George Washington was known to say back in the day. This is way too wide.
Yeah, it's going to be through probably.
Yeah, call your mom because it's out of here. It's kind of fun trying to like make up new turns of phrase and ways to express how a shot goes.
Yeah, I don't know how you do this all day, every day for all these events.
It can be challenging. One thing I kind of joked about was that we had technical difficulties at the start of the event. The video was streaming, my audio was not. So I went like 3.5 games before someone said, "Hey, I can't hear any commentary." So I figured that out. And then I joked, I don't think I joked on the broadcast, but like all the jokes I said or like some of the
You wasted
observations,
your best material.
but I can recycle them now. And it's like, oh, it's new to me because
Nobody heard it yesterday.
exactly.
Yeah, speaking of yesterday, one of the discussions between members of Team Clapham and Team Norris was games with facing Team Spangler.
Mm.
So there was a certain phrase about whether or not they were gonna be spanking Spangler or getting spanked by Spangler. I'm not sure what the outcomes of those games were, but I think they both got spanked by Spangler.
That would be correct, I believe. Just looking at the record, Clapham has one win.
Yeah, and that was actually over Norris,
Mm.
which was an upset win, just historically, based on experience of the team members. Like I mentioned earlier, Rob Clapham has a newbie on his team.
Mm.
Dr. Dan is a Bonspiel virgin.
This looks really good for
Nice.
Norris.
He's happy about that.
There's a bit of an out for Waddington because if they just draw in,
Draw the forefoot.
yeah, and that's kind of I was saying like very fundamental skipping advice where you want to be able to have a draw to the button for at least one, so you're not giving up a bundle. In this case, facing two for Bill Waddington, or B Wads as he's known by his friends. I'm joking, of course. It's also kind of fun coming up with nicknames where it's like, hey, you know, B Wads, what's up? But there's Bob, so I don't think that works.
One thing I would recommend is that you do not ask Ryan Montgomery, the second on Team Norris, to come up with nicknames
Mm.
because that's how you end up with a situation where Rob Clapham has the nickname of Slappy. So like I mentioned, today's Rob's birthday, and so I've actually started saying "Slappy birthday, Rob" every time I see him.
Ooh, this could be really
Oh,
good. That's sweet. So just a little bit of a wick off of that blue on the edge of the forefoot, and the yellow rolls towards the button. Shot rock. I don't think Norris can really pick that out.
you can freeze on top of it probably.
That's true. Or even a little tap would be fine, just as long as Norris is sitting shot. And this is Norris's last rock here, so this is a key shot here. The other thing, the other thing that I don't know if we do a lot is that sometimes you need to look at the other side of the sheet because a lot of the play has been on this north side or the left side, depending on the view, the left side here. But like you could draw on the other side. But also at the same time, you don't necessarily want to show the other team what the ice is and then say, oh well, they missed, but now I know the ice to call, and then I'll score my two. But Waddington has that draw from both sides for the potential two, depending on how Norris's last rock is as he pushes out of the hack.
Yeah, and Clyde can't take away both draws.
No,
So
I mean he can. I don't think he can pick out the yellow very easily. Sweepers jump on it. So they're just going to guard it. It looks like, yeah,
they're conceding the one
at
at this point.
least. But like we mentioned, there's the draw on the other side. There's two center guards, but they're looking on that right side because again, like all the play of this end has been gone one direction, so the teams have kind of gotten uh, blinders on in terms of
Hmm.
the full sheet of ice. And again, as I mentioned during the podcast, and I'll mention to you here, like you're on the ice, you're seeing things that I might not be seeing and stuff. But it's like I can see, when you look at it face on, you just draw around with that 2.5 feet of curl, and you need a full 4 foot. But I think it's there. But the whole team is discussing it.
Team confab.
Yep.
Now, one thing that might be playing into their considerations as they're confabbing is that all the play for the most part has been on the left side of the sheet, so they might be hesitant to go on the other side to draw it.
Yeah.
It might be, super simple for you to see it, having access to the overhead cam and all that stuff. But they might just be like, oh, I don't trust the speed or, have questions about that. But it does look like they're going to try to draw for two.
Yeah, I see that too. And I think you're totally right. The other thing I might be seeing, and I just need to keep in perspective, is that that draw is such a straightforward shot that they might be looking for alternatives to see. Is like, okay, is this alternative better than the straightforward shot that it takes like 5 seconds to draw up? And so the decisions made, they are going for the draw 4-2. They got one in the house on the lid, and they need to pretty much bite the button for that second. Sweepers are on it. This does have the possibility of wrecking, but it looks really good. Let's go to the mutton button cam. It's a little up, but there's some backing, and wow, what a great
Yep,
draw.
deuce on the board.
And just like that, we're tied.
We got ourselves a ball game, folks. Even Steven, all square.
Start the game
4
over.
4.
I like to joke that um, if you have a couple bad ends, like okay, well the practice ends are over. Now we can start the game, as if like being down like 6-0 after two ends is something that you can just like wipe off the board.
Yeah, you never want to start off giving a three or a four ender. There's no coming back from that.
Oh, it's hard. I like especially like when you're at a dedicated ice event like at Coyotes, where you if you're down big early, it's like how do you come back from this? And one of my first games on dedicated ice, I was down like 4 or 6, and we were able to claw our way back to tie or like be one down one. And it's like okay, well we lost, but we were able to come back. We were able to execute a strategy to at least generate some offense or offense, depending on where you're from. So Norris has the hammer in the critical even ends. We have 3 games still in action. We have our feature game right now as Waddington's lead draws. Do you think that's in the house? What's your prediction?
I don't know. It looks like he wants to bury it.
Right, but for Nor, sorry, for Waddington's shot, is that a guard or is that in the house?
I think it's in the house, maybe biting. Ah, you cheater with the overhead
Well, I
cam.
mean, I didn't show it until I was, but that also shows that the way we see things through these cameras is not what we see on the ice. Needs to make sure that doesn't hog.
Hog, yeah.
It's over the line. Now they have some corner guards. Sheet three is again a very tight contest between Team Lazarowicz and Stephanie. Stephanie scored one in the fifth to draw within one. Lazarowicz is up 5-4 in the sixth end. And net start coming for Team Waddington. Sheet four game. It's been Spangler through four ends, and then Cameron decided to put up a four spot to have the lead, and still Spangler up 8-4 here in the sixth end. So this looks to be another guard this time, right?
Yep. All right, first one in the house scores.
Yeah, there's a lot of protection, which is one of the reasons why we have the guard zone. Have you delved into the history of curling a lot?
Not really.
So there is a book called Written in Stone by a Canadian by the name of Brian Chick, I believe, and it's an oral history about kind of the modern history of curling, primarily in Canada. And
Okay.
so they talked about like from the 80s. So they talked about like why they had to bring in the free guard rule to generate offense and stuff. And that really goes back to the Briars. Ooh, so talking about the first one around, that's really close. So there were some Briars where they would like one person would they would score one or two early, and they would just then hit until they ran the other team out of stones, and they would do that for 9 ends, and say, oh well, that game's over, we won 3-2. What a great game. And so that was one of the impetuses for the initial guard zone rule, which started at 4 at the world level. And Canada was weird. They kept it at 3 rocks for the longest time. And then they finally decided to say, we need to conform with the world standard. Oh,
Oh, he flashed. Oh no.
and now it's a 5 rock rule. But this is an example why, because you have these guards, you can draw stones into the house to generate possible points and hopefully make it a more exciting game for our viewers and for the curlers to play. So, written in stone.
I think I've seen that book.
Yeah,
It's the yellow one with like gray.
a granite stone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's a fun read. Talking to like Jennifer Jones and like Brad Gushu or Gushu. Uh, very very fun read. Very Canadian centric, but it's somewhat understanding how you know dominant Canada was in the sport for a long time. we're seeing kind of a world movement, a global movement in the sport. We were talking about the pan continentals earlier,
Yep.
talking about nicotine earlier.
One thing people who know me really well in the curling circuit will tell you, do not give Micah a chance to talk about Teamadine because she will take that opportunity and run with it.
Oh, he's wearing a Landsteiner jersey, as you mentioned earlier. It's like
Yeah, Clyde has a Schuster jersey.
I feel a little awkward about wearing another player's jersey on the ice, but I can understand the popularity of it. And then also, there was a time, I don't know if you got in on this, but Curling Canada, I think it was during COVID or just before COVID, they had Dynasty do custom wallpapers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so they were able to put my name on like the USA design and stuff
Nice.
For Dynasty. So Dynasty is a big apparel firm for curling and golf gear, I believe, and also headgear. I think you have some headgear from Dynasty.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am someone who has fallen on the ice and suffered a concussion.
Oh man.
It was during ice prep at OC Curling League, in full disclosure. It happened last year, and yeah, I fell, hit my head on the ice. It was actually Dad Waddington who kind of helped me after I fell, and made sure I was okay and everything. But ever since then, I never go on the ice and curl without my bright pink Dynasty protective beanie. It's made out of D30 material. It's designed to, reduce any damage and protect your head if you were to fall and hit your head. Right now, half of my team has fallen on the ice during some sort of ice maintenance type of situation. When we were doing the vinyl for Curl San Diego this summer, my Vice fell and hit her head as well.
Oh man. So these headgear is malleable, but when it has a sudden impact, it becomes rigid, right, to protect to absorb the impact, as it
Yeah,
were.
yeah. Protects your noggin.
But it's also good for like 30 uses, which I think is the name, right? That's why it's called D30.
I think so.
Yeah. So I'm always a little worried that like how do you keep track of like how many times you've hit your head with that headgear?
I mean, I think the commercial that Haji had filmed for that is that if you're hitting your head 30 times, it might be time to rethink things. I'm actually not the only person who regularly and consistently wears protective headgear on the ice. At this tournament,
Mhm,
you recently just called the Malaret versus Burnt game.
mhm.
Daddy Burnt, Alan Burnt, who plays lead for Austin's team, also wears Dynasty protective toque.
Mhm.
His is black, mine is pink.
I'm sure you offered to trade at some point, right?
Oh
And
yeah, he's just dying to wear the pink one.
headgear, I mean, like curling is an all ages sport, and all abilities or as many abilities as we can get on the ice. And so to have headgear to help facilitate keeping curling a safe sport, I can definitely be in strong support of that. This looks pretty good. Look at that.
Shot stone.
Not
Oh, not
quite.
quite.
The overhead camera never lies. It just doesn't tell the whole truth
Yeah.
sometimes.
And so that's actually an example of like when you're on the opposite end of the sheet and you're on the actual ice playing, it could be misleading. Like, oh, I think that's, I think that's in, or I think that's shot. It's like, nope, not quite. But obviously, as a player, you don't have the luxury of knowing what the overhead cam sees, um, what the viewers see at home.
Which is also why you hear teams yelling back to and forth to each other, like, "Who's shot? Are we
Mm-hmm.
one? Are they two?" And and then someone was like, "No, we're shot." What? Who's shot? It's like we're shot. Ah, that was a good response. That was going to be Owen McLaughlin.
Correct.
Yeah. So he's a scientist by trade. He enjoys sci-fi shows, mountain bikings, long walks in moonlight. I added that part. hiking, camping in his spare time. On his bucket list is to go on a dream vacation to Europe. His favorite Avenger is Thor, and flight is a superpower that he would most like to have.
Yeah, there's actually several members from Colonel San Diego whose favorite Avenger is Thor, myself included.
Hmm. One of your team nicknames for Nick and Dean is the Ice Avengers, right?
Yeah, so if you follow me on Twitter, you know that my pinned post is the fan art cartoon uh, depiction of all members of Team Adine, including Daniel Magnuson, their alternate, as Avengers characters. And Nick is Thor. Oscar Erickson Device is the Hulk, because his nickname is the Professor.
Hmm.
Rasmus is Iron Man, and Christopher Sundgren is Captain America. Should probably be Captain Sweden, but it doesn't fit into the whole Avengers theme.
Uh-oh, this could be trouble.
Oh, wrecked on the guard.
Yep.
Oh no.
So Norris, having conceded a deuce in the last end, is in a position to score at least two in this end, looking to keep those rocks far apart from each other to make it a lot harder for Waddington to hit those out. It's kind of funny about Sweden because I know some of the playdowns they've had in their country, they've aired on public television over there, the SVT, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also aired the Hasselborg versus Edine match. That was a
Oh,
fun
yeah.
one. Uh, Girls versus boys.
And a lot of people think that curling is a great sport when it comes to equality and hopefully equity. We're obviously working on that, but just to for the possibility or potential to have women play against the men, it's possible. Also with mixed doubles, it's a reality because you have one man and one woman
Hmm.
on both teams. So I think Nadine did pull away from that, but Hasselborg was in it pretty early, and then just
Yeah,
yeah,
the first half, if I recall, was pretty close.
yeah, kind of like this game.
Even Steven.
Although Norris was able to make a pretty good draw to split the house, it's not buried. So for Waddington, is this it's Stipstones? Yes,
Yep,
where it's Stip rocks.
it's the first of skip stones, it looks
What do
like.
you think he's gonna do here?
He's probably going to try to tap shot stone.
And maybe roll?
Roll,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Like
here's the first
a
of two.
small flop.
This is hanging out a little wide. The weight's also a little light, I believe.
They're going to have to do some major dragging.
Yep.
Oh,
Brother comes out to help, but it's not.
oh
It's in
no.
vain.
Didn't even hit the paint.
This really just kind of cements the advantage that Norris has so far in this end. So have you seen the play or the strategy evolve as you guys have been able to continue playing? I know you mentioned when you were able to go to SCCC, you were able to kind of hone your skills and kind of shift your strategy in that way. Are you still seeing that even though Southern California Center is closed?
At least for me personally, for my team, yeah, it's this weekend has been quite educational, and just learning to even start using times
Hmm.
and zones. That's something that we never really did, especially in SD because ice is so inconsistent that a lot of times it's luck.
Hmm.
It's not really like, yeah, don't go for the complicated stuff. Like it's not gonna happen. It's you know you think the line is perfect and then there's a water droplet there that like you know solidified, and now your rock just goes airborne
Mhm.
and it's dead.
So Clyde Norris is sitting three. He has two rocks to go. Looks like they're gonna maybe just put one right in the top eight. It looks like maybe to block that path that Waddington just tried to draw down.
Either that or have it short of the house, because if he goes into the house, it might make it even easier for Bill to promote the yellow that's barely out of the
That's a good
house.
point.
I think he's guarding.
Yeah, sweepers want to make sure it gets there. Also, the line is really important. It's
Oh,
oh,
Owen is jumping in to help
is it
sweep.
going to get over the line? It's
Oh,
over the line. Oh,
oh no!
oh, they needed another half inch.
Like Owen should have jumped and helped sooner.
Now, for your club, do you have all the markings or as many like are you missing some key markings?
Oh yeah, we're missing a lot of the markings. Even two of our houses are actually uh more strips of vinyl
Mm,
rather than like segments that are, that make a full circle that are wide. um are the line for where we are supposed to attach the hacks are barely visible.
hmm.
We don't have the vertical lines that go from the house to the hog line.
Oh, like the center line
Yeah, well,
or the side lines.
the center lines and then the two lines on each side of the center
Oh.
line. Yeah, we don't have very many lines in our houses in San Diego. Now, one thing that um, may be playing a factor into why that stone was hogged is Ryan Montgomery is quite the sleepy person today. There was too much enjoying partying for Rob Clapham's birthday last night that Ryan was actually sleeping at one of the tables last night.
Oh no,
Oh,
not bad.
it still leaves Norris sitting two.
Right, and then Norris also has a shot. Had to say that correctly. He has a shot for four because if he picks out that yellow,
And sticks
yeah.
around, yeah.
I mean, also like a hit and roll. Why not? Trying to see which way they could hit it without jamming. I think they want to hit it on the inside no matter what, because if they hit and roll inside, they're scoring three, even if it jams on the blue and
Hmm.
on the outside. They don't want to. They don't want to push that yellow in towards the center any further, because that would be a disaster.
Yeah, because they're just taking off their own points.
A very key hammer shot coming from Clyde Norris, whose walkout song is "Baby Got Back" by the distinguished Sir Mix-a-Lot.
If you know Clyde, that's kind of a surprising walkout song. Um, the thing about Team Norris is that Clyde and Owen are
Oh,
very
they're going for the draw. Oh, and
introverted.
this could be
Oh,
light.
they're gonna, yeah,
Oh man, they had a great chance to blow this game open.
yeah.
At the same time, they're adding two to their total. It's a great advantage to have, but they left an additional 1 or 2 points on the table. So whose anaconda got none? Because there's no buns. I don't know. This metaphor is not working out.
Unless you ain't got buns, hun. So it's kind of funny. I'm not actually going to rap the lyrics to that song, but one thing that happened last night, again, it's one of those little stories that I'll get to share, is that Ryan and I actually inadvertently just busted out singing Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby uh, last night, because Clyde was telling a story about how at one of the Coyotes bonspiels, Ryan apparently was so happy and enthusiastic about karaoke.
Mhm.
I don't know which Coyotes event had karaoke. At least none of the ones I've been to before did.
They may have stopped it. It's like, oh, we're not doing this again.
Maybe, but the thing is that I feel like they should bring it back because I'm Filipino. I love karaoke.
Yeah, there's some things are stereotypes for a reason.
Some basis of truth. Well, actually, it's a great segue for me to plug the Potomac Curling Club,
Mm,
aka Curl DC, is hosting um, what they normally call Embassy Row.
mm,
It's an annual bonspiel in December. I believe it's the eighth annual event.
hmm
And a little bit of a humble brag. Every year, it's a different country
mm.
in honor of the Philippines being selected, or being able to be a member association for World Curling Federation. The theme for this year is the Philippines. So, as expected, the event will have karaoke. I posed a question to one of the members, and I said, "This is a serious question. I need to know whether or not Taylor Swift's Blank Space is one of the karaoke options." I have not yet heard a response. But if you were at the Donna Perky Curling Classic earlier this year, you will know why I want to know if Blank Space by Taylor Swift is one of the options.
Well, I'm sure they'll be sure to write your name. Wordplay. So I got
Indeed.
the end number wrong. This is the last end. This game has just flown by. So Norris scored that deuce to take a 2 point lead going into the last end. That was a huge end, even if they didn't score those 4 points like I was thinking they could.
Yeah, so now, in classic curling strategy, Clyde is going to want to keep an open house, keep things clean,
hmm
and run Waddington out of rocks.
And Waddington went into the house early, and they guarded up what they have. It looks like, and Norris is again, as you said, looking to. Well, they can't take out the guard, so they're looking to maybe hit and roll on the yellow in the house. It's about 20% exposed, maybe 40%. So the hit and roll is possible, or even if they roll out.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't care. They just don't want a yellow sticking around.
Well, and this is a chance for Norris to get on the win column. So this is a big point for Pride
Yep.
as Mark Kumimoto throws his last. Is that Mark? No,
Ryan
it's
threw.
Ryan Montgomery.
Yeah.
We haven't talked too much about him. Well, you had
Oh,
stories about
I
him.
mean, I talked about how he was the troublemaker that gave curlers weird nicknames.
There's that. Yes. Crashed on the guard and kind of spun through the house.
I mean, it's still hanging around, so it could serve as backing for later shots, but it's an out that they're giving Team Waddington.
And Waddington needs a deuce to stay alive. If they score three, they will win the game outright. And Waddington needs a win to stay in the hunt for that second playoff berth.
So if Waddington gets two and it's tied at the end of the eighth end, they do play an extra end, correct?
That's correct. And then if they somehow blanked the extra end, which happens once every blue moon, they will do skip stones to break that tie.
Now, are sweepers allowed to sweep the skip stones,
Yes.
or okay,
Well, your own team, you can't sweep an opponent's stones.
okay, so no defensive sweeping.
That's correct. Looks pretty good. I'm curious about why they went this way because it sets up a possible double. They could have split the reins and really forced Norris to be like really on his hitting game to hit them both out. In this case, though, Norris is really looking. He's eyeing that double, just like he's at in and out, deciding whether or not to get it animal style or not. You got fries, by the way, right?
Oh, our team is notorious for French fries. I don't know if you've noticed, but the backs of our jerseys have a goat eating French fries on them. Um, we're pretty hardcore about our broom stacking, and back in the day, we would go to a local pub when they still had the kitchen open late. And we would try all
Got
the
one.
different.
Oh,
Oh,
jams.
peanut butter. Um, yeah, so we would get all the different kinds of fries available at that restaurant, and it just kind of stuck.
Mm. When I saw you got In and Out animal style French fries.
Yeah, there's been a lot of French fries consumed during this past 2 days. I graduated from UC Berkeley, go Bears,
Mm.
and Dan, who's the newbie on
Dr. Dan.
Dr. Dan. Yeah, he got his PhD at Cal,
Go Bears.
but he never tried IB hoagies. I'm like, but it's like, how can you go to Cal and have never tried IB hoagies? And he said, well, I brought my lunch to school every day because I was a poor, starving grad student. And so I had some of my college friends get some IB hoagies um, earlier today, and we had, I think, 6 different types of fries. There was a beast fries. Um, cheese fries, garlic fries, curly fries, regular fries, and then waffle cut cheesy fries.
Oh
So six
gosh.
different types of fries.
Were you in Berkeley when they had like the poutineery open?
No, I didn't know that there was a poutineery.
So there was a poutineery. I'm trying to remember where it was. I think it was near that food court mall. Not in the food court mall. And so they saw that everything was poutine. And so they had like, buffalo chicken and some other varieties, except for they always did the French fries and the beef gravy and I think the cheese curds. It's like, I like the idea, but maybe I don't want beef gravy with buffalo chicken.
I'm vegetarian, so
Oh,
I don't know if that would appeal to me, but one thing that I would like to try in the future when I go to Canada is a vegetarian poutine. Because I know that they do make it.
hmm.
They just don't use the beef gravy. They use some sort of other alternative gravy.
Well, thanks to Google, it was smoked poutine. It was off of Durant, and they're closed permanently. So,
Oh.
um,
Oh no. Wrecking on the guard.
oh, not too bad for Norris, but it also jumps up the front, and Waddington's going to try and draw into that to set up a deuce. I think they may. I don't know if they ever had a vegan poutine option, but you would think in Berkeley someone would try.
Yeah, if any place would have vegan poutine, it'll probably be Berkeley.
Yeah. And also, we're talking about poutine because curling is a strongly Canadian sport, and obviously, we would think that poutine is also celebrated. They have veggie poutine, which is not necessarily vegan poutine.
Yeah. Oh, Buffalo Collie Ranch.
A
That
buff
sounds in.
butter chickenless cauliflower. That sounds good. Yeah. It's too bad they're closed permanently.
I
Otherwise,
know.
let's go.
We're right around dinner time too.
Oh man, it's 6 o'clock here or 7 o'clock here. Where does the time go? Oh, he wanted to draw around. This is hanging
Oh,
out
it's
like a ruffian.
she gone.
It's out of play. And also, with definitely vegetarian and certainly vegan, if you always have to ask like, what's in this? Because they sometimes like, oh, it's rice, but they cooked it in chicken broth.
Yeah.
And I don't mind chicken broth, but I totally understand someone who goes out of their way to avoid eating meats of any sort. It's like how it would be. I think they felt violated, and I would agree with that.
Yeah, they were, you know, debated. Interestingly enough, the woman who
Oh,
plays
this is looking
second for
pretty
me.
good.
Oh,
Needs to sit down. It's not going to sit,
uh,
but still,
I
uh,
mean, if they can hold Waddington to one.
yeah. But they also kind of show the path again, and there's backing.
Hmm.
So if they do the same path, just a little less weight, but not too much less weight because they need to make sure it gets there. Uh, Waddington could be in pretty good shape. This is the last of Brother Bob's, right?
Yep, there's two Yellowstones left, so
which is
after
the
the
name of
dose.
my new band. It's B Wads and Brother Bob.
I think Bob actually plays guitar
Oh, really?
too, so we may want to ask after the broadcast.
Okay, I need to turn off this poutine photo because I'm getting hungry. Oh, the weight's pretty good. Let's switch the view. Awesome shot. There is 4 minutes left on the clock. We'll switch to that. Uh, this is just a countdown clock. It's more of a gentle reminder to hurry your butt up and play quickly. But there's no official timing on this game.
Yeah, we were all quite relieved that there was no timing because originally I think we saw communications that said like, oh, we know because this is Playdowns, there will be timing, thinking time, blah blah blah, and at least my team, we were all like, what? We've never been in a situation where we were timed.
But it is also good experience. So if you do qualify for national championships at some point, you would have that timing experience sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm gonna be thrown into that trial by fire
Oh yeah.
at the end of October for PCCC.
Well, you're also doing 10 ends. I think you mentioned that too, right?
Yeah, I have never swept a full 10 end game because I've been strictly a skip since fall of 2019. I played 10 games as lead in Curl San Diego when I first started, and then Clyde brought me to Coyotes for my first Bonspiel for Hotter Than Hell.
Mm.
And ever since then, I've been a skip. So I did play one pickup game at Coyotes after the Hollywood on location Bonspiel, where I specifically volunteered to play lead. Um, I played on the same team as Veronica, who plays second for Team Mexico.
Mhm.
So the back end were two guys, and the two girls were the ones um, dragging the stones. And boy, I have not swept that much in a very long time. So um, I'm going to need a lot of practice and work working up to that sweeping 10 in games.
Mm.
Of course, we are hoping that we don't have to play 10 ends. Like let's see if we can win early.
Jump up to an early lead and hold on. Yeah.
Yeah.
The format of the event, we'll get back to that in a second. I really want to see the setup here now that they've called the shot. They were looking at maybe doing a slash double, but I think maybe they were concerned about jamming or maybe the angles weren't lining up. I think they're going to do a hit. I think they are going to try the double just based on where he has the broom.
Depends on how hard he throws when he releases, I think.
Yeah.
Because it could be just the straight like hit and stick too.
Well, this could also be yeah, getting rid of that yellow counter is probably one of the key first and most important things. Like reduce the number of counters, and if it doubles, that's fine. You don't want to just kind of kiss the yellow and push it further in. I don't think you also want to wreck. And this is
Oh,
disaster incoming.
no, 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 sweep it in. Hmm.
I say disaster incoming, but it's still not a horrible outcome for Norris.
Yeah, he's got backing.
Let's go to the Manitoba mutton producers. Yeah, the mutton producers sponsoring the button cam, the mutton button, as it's called. Ask for it by name. You're vegetarian. I don't know why I'm making meat references to you. I'm sorry.
Well, at least my second Stephanie is not here because she's actually vegan.
Uh-huh.
I heard they went to vegan sushi for early dinner.
There's a lot of great vegan options up here.
Yeah.
I've had a vegan soul food off of Jack London Square, just outside of downtown Oakland. It was really surprisingly good. And like seitan, these people do great things with seitan.
Yeah.
So much so I say like praise seitan.
If they season it correctly and cook it correctly, it's delicious.
So here comes Bill Waddington's first with the hammer down two. I think looking to kind of tap that yellow back and protect it. So then they're kind of securing the two, and then maybe seeing what they can do to maybe
Hang
win
on.
the game. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, looks pretty good. Again, just looking for a little tap or a freeze. A freeze would be awesome if they did it. Oh, it wicks off of the blue, rolls in front. So
Now, do you think Clyde could raise one of their blues?
that's a great question. I mean, the blue that would be the one to do it is the top one from this view that we're seeing. We're also taking a look to see which is third shot right now. I'm going to say it looks yellow, but again, the camera could lie,
Hmm.
or at least not tell the whole truth. I
You
think
you know it's a serious shot when the lead is coming down for the team confab.
I think the guy who wears the Landsteiner jersey should not be saying anything to stay true to the athlete whose jersey he's wearing.
He should also not change his facial expression.
Now, we definitely kid about how stoic Landsteiner is, but by all accounts, he's a great person on and off the ice, and he helps with fundraisers for curling ice. You know, he's married. No one who's married could be a bad guy. Uh, he's doing that clinic up in McCall. I don't know if it's already happened or next month,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's part of that athlete outreach initiative that U.S. Curling has. So Lance Steiner's going to be teaching a clinic up there. We had Becca Hamilton at the Oval.
Yeah, I saw pictures on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram on that, I think.
Yeah, I took some of those. So
Oh,
it's great when USA
photo
Curling shares out my photos.
photo credit Ryan Olson.
It's really interesting to take photos. You know, curling is such a personal sport, especially at all levels. And like sometimes like the athletes kind of get stunned by that because they might say something that's a little indiscreet or they're like overly worried about saying something that people could take the wrong way. Um, but like with the photos, like you can get really close to the sweepers on the ice. I think they are going for that tap. This is Clyde Norris's last, facing two, up two. So this is really to kind of help secure the win. You know, although Waddington has one more chance to have a say on that. Let's see how it goes. Oh, come on, button cam. Button's failing me. Okay, so
I think it was the littlest of
yeah, because
taps.
it pushed it solidly on the line on the 8 foot. So it outcounts the third Waddington rock, but Waddington is sitting two. So the tie is secure unless something weird happens, which is curling. Weird stuff happens.
I mean, he can tap the yellow by the eye in lives.
Yes, and do a double tap, like
Yeah.
a tap tap raise.
Or a
But,
bump bump.
again, those two are secure. So how do you get this, the third leftmost yellow in the house? How do you get that further than the other blues? I think they're going to try and draw the port. That's down on the bottom, and it seems to be the best play. I was looking at the top from the view that we have right now, but that guard makes it really hard to come back to be full 8 foot, which is what Waddington will need to secure the win. And the other thing that's going to be a challenge is that Waddington is going to have to steal the extra end to secure the win outright.
Yeah, and if you're an analytics kind of guy, you would look at the line scores and be like, there hasn't been a steal, the second half. So,
Yeah,
you know, is that going to factor into the decision making?
a draw for the win. A tie is in hand. Let's see if Bill Watson has the shot. It looks really
It
good
looks
from
good.
here.
If this shot is made, Clyde's going to be one grumpy guy. Please go ask him about
Oh, it's
the
sailing
horse.
through.
Oh, it's heavy. He's got the heavies.
Oh.
There's an eruption of reaction in the warm room.
So It looked really good. Just needed to dial it back ever so slightly. But we're going to extra ends. We get bonus curling.
Bonus curling. So good news for people who love live streams of curling. We've got bonus curling coming at you.
We are thankful for you guys tuning in. I'm thankful for Micah for joining us today. Uh,
I'm so glad you finally let me hijack your broadcast in person because I tend to hijack it from the YouTube chat. I've never had the opportunity to be in the same place as you when you do your live stream broadcast. So thank you for the opportunity. It's been fun.
yeah. Well, it's always good to have a guest on, able to kind of expand the conversation and the perspective because, as a skip, you've been playing these games on this ice and seeing how things are going. And since I brought that up, how have things been here this weekend at San Francisco Bay Area?
Getting creamed, but winless. But I did score that three under, so I will take the small victories within each game, um, and just build up on them.
hmm
6-6, even Steven,
Yep.
all square.
When Waddington puts up a center guard, and this is on the center line, the rock is not fully on the center line, but if you were to like stand over the rock, you would see that it's on that line. So
Have you noticed any of the teams actually using the tick square or triangle or whatever the measuring tool is called?
I haven't seen the T square.
Yeah, Ryan with the hard sweep on that one.
Sorry, we have a MoPac banner behind us, and I just want to make sure that's not being potentially damaged. No one would intentionally damage such a venerable and beloved banner, but mistakes happen, which is also happens in curling.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see the MoPac banner. I haven't taken my team photo yet, but we will do that tonight.
And they will be posted on the Facebook page. It's always kind of fun to meet the teams. One thing I wanted to do, I've never had the time and resources to do it, but to kind of do a TSN style meet the teams where, or power poses as they're called, where the teams kind of watch in slow motion, crossing arms.
Do you have a lazy Susan for people? Because they spin them.
I did not know that. The other thing is that the sponsors are such a big deal in curling all at all levels. So we're thankful for the donations that help San Francisco, get underway. But even at the top competitive level, sponsors are definitely valued. So Curling Canada, the men's championship, the Brier, was sponsored by a donut chain, Tim Hortons, for the longest time, and so they'd be eating donuts as part of the promotion. The curlers would, but that
And
sponsorship,
coffee.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah, the coffee probably more than the donuts. But I eat donuts. I don't drink coffee.
I'm the opposite. In full disclosure, I've got a venti Starbucks pumpkin spice iced latte next to me as I'm doing this broadcast.
So Tim Hortons is no longer the primary sponsor of the Briar, and now it's Montana's.
State or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that, right?
Montana's barbecue or something like that. So the joke was to have the curlers that are known for eating donuts to have them like just chomping down on ribs and stuff.
It's meaty. Now, speaking of sponsors, I think sponsors play a very important role even at the local level. The only reason why we have jerseys is because we got sponsors.
Mm.
Clyde, skip of Team Nooris, is actually one of them. He is a owner, a small business owner in San Diego. He owns On Cue Billiards, which is a pool hall. So, many curlers are aware that some of the most talented and elite level curlers do a lot of playing pool or billiards. So
Can you name
that's
an
why.
example of a player that's not Nick Dean? No.
Kevin Martin,
Oh, just a good
I was prepared for that.
point.
I
Nick Dean famously kind of loves billiards for the angles and how one object hitting to another reacts and stuff.
Yeah, and he did a um, an interview with Kevin Martin at a pool hall
Mhm.
recently. That's on YouTube somewhere. Yeah, I actually one of the things Clyde wants, if it ever happens, is to host the members of Team Adine at his pool hall. Um, he can't play Nick Adine because Nick's Fargo rating is way higher than his. Um,
Oh,
but
this could be bad.
oh no,
Oh, man. That's an unfortunate miss. I think they were looking to clear those yellow guards and it
hmm
just over curled. Uh, some of the situation might be that teams are leaving the ice and so the ice conditions are changing. The pebble might be breaking down a little bit, but that would not necessarily explain why the rock curls more. But now Waddington has a chance to. I think they're going to draw.
draw around it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that port is not the widest port.
Looking at it from the camera angle, if I were Bill,
This is over curling,
I would call the port shot as well. My vice Misty is used to having me call port.
and that rolls into the blue, wicks off of it into the wall of Gibraltar in front of the house.
This is a stereotypical formation for an arena club. Junk the front.
So we have two games left on the ice. The Sheet 4 game between Team Spangler of Wine Country ended with them winning 11-4 over Team Cameron of also of Wine Country. Yeah.
Yeah, after Cameron got that four ender in the fifth end, I thought we were gonna have a tight game or that they were gonna come back. But unfortunately it looks like Team Cameron got spanked by Spangler.
I also like to joke that Spangler threw a spanner into the works. So
Does he like to throw spinners? Has he mastered the Nick tick? When I play in a mixed team, my vice, who's male, hates it when I try to throw a spinner. I think he's still traumatized when I blew a point at Coyotes earlier this summer. Now, the other game that's still going on is
yep,
Stephanie and Lazarowicz.
yep.
Whenever I see Stephanie on, you see, I did it again. Whenever I see Stephanie on like Bonspieler or like on YouTube, I want to say Stefani, like
Hmm.
Gwen Stefani.
Yep. I did two for one game and then I got set straight. It's
No
Stephanie.
doubt.
No doubt. I see what you did there. So Waddington's going to try and draw around after Norris opened up the front a little bit, breaking up that wall. Looks a lot better than the first shot that they threw, or the last shot, but it still needs to get to the house, and it's going to end up,
Oh.
yeah,
See, the thing is that that port looked way wider than earlier. So, but it's still Fort Knox in the front of the house.
yeah,
It's like first one to get in is the one that's gonna score and win.
yeah. Waddington ideally would have drawn in two rock to go, and then just kind of locked it down to try and secure the steal and the win. And it's still anyone's game. Trying to
And
see how many stones are left. Looks like we are in the early Vices stones as Owen McLaughlin is talking over the shot with his Vice.
oh, he doesn't have his stabilizer. Yeah, this is actually something new for Owen. I think I believe he always slid with his broom.
Hmm.
But then his longtime favorite broom broke,
Mm,
and he's converted to a stabilizer.
mm.
He did get a new broom. He's now a member of Hardline Nation, as far as I know. Um,
Oh, and that trash is
oh,
on the guard.
but
It might
will
stick
it
around.
stay? If it's a biter, then it changes
It
things.
does.
Yeah, it sticks around.
Oh,
Um,
goodness.
but yeah, he had to get a new broom for the competition.
Well, and also talking about some of the competitive rules. You guys had to get the competitive heads for the first time, or the brush pads, right?
Uh, Most of the team did. I already had a WCF approved broom. I you have one guess and only one guess as to which broom I curl with.
Hasselborg.
I curl with the Edine broom. Although I did get my new official curling Pilipinas broom, that's what I've been curling with this weekend.
Mm,
But yeah, when I first got my Edine broom, I did get both covers. So I have the recreational one and the WCF approved competitive one. Oh, looks like Waddington is shot.
yeah. As we said, the first one past the post is likely going to be able to hopefully have the advantage. And now Norris, I think discretion being the better part of valor, is opting to clear the guards, which makes sense.
Hmm.
Because again, you want to have it open so you can try and draw or hit for the win. And with those guards in the way, you can't do that.
I would imagine if this is cleared, that Waddington would put up another guard to protect his yellow.
Yeah. Dramatic shot. Oh, oh no.
Oh!
The crowd reacts. We also had people move down here.
Yeah, the
So
warm room, it erupted in
one
groans.
second. So just an unfortunate miss there. So now Waddington, they're looking at just closing the door. They got one in the house.
You just gotta plug the hole so that there's no way in.
It's just like adopting a stray cat. You take it off the street, bring it in the house, you close the door, so no other stray cats can get in, as this metaphor goes.
Yeah, but once you own a cat, don't you just keep owning more cats? Because one cat is never enough.
Oh
I
man.
mean, I'm not really speaking from experience because I have a dog. His name is Norman Reedus.
Uh-huh. Oh geez, a Walking Dead reference.
Of course.
So I made a joke that no one got, which is my type of humor. I said that I don't like zombies like as a genre, but I love the song Zombie Jamboree.
I don't know what that song is. I don't
Yep.
know if it's a.
It's a rockapella. Well, it was a Harry Belafonte tune back in the day, and then an acapella group kind of did an acapella version of it. So it was
Okay.
on Carmen Sandiego, the game show in the '90s and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, when
Ooh.
oh, ooh, this is gonna make it really tough.
Oh wow.
Oh, but the port is open.
Yes.
Clyde can double that if he gets through the port.
Yeah. Let's go to the button cam and see how it looks. I don't think the double's there.
Yeah, he needs to draw into the 4 foot.
And that's where they've dialed up. I
Yeah.
think Waddington has one more stone to go, and this would be Clyde's first.
Yeah.
Very crucial shot coming up here. He could also be setting something up where, but it's tricky though because there's not two paths to the button. So if he tries to set up he tries to put a rock like maybe in the 8 foot, and then maybe tries to tap it in or angle it in with his last, then
Bill
what?
will just block it.
Exactly. Yeah.
What I was gonna say was when you brought up, zombie and song, I thought you were gonna say cranberries.
Ah, yes. I also enjoy that. Yeah, like so the zombie genre, not for me. Songs about zombies, I'm totally fine with.
Oh
Oh.
no.
So what you didn't see is that once Clyde Norris released the rock, the vice moved the broom to the outside edge, indicating where the rock was, and it's wide. So they're trying to save it, but it
Yeah,
is
it's
just
gone.
yeah. Even if it's not gone, it's just so far out, it's not going to be usable in any way. Oh man! So what? This was a well executed game by both teams, and it just seems like Waddington was just able to kind of gain the edge.
You know how they say hindsight is 2020? I would have just like taken my chances and blasted like the middle or
Yeah,
tried to like blast something
yeah.
just to clear things up. But then I also just like throwing peel weight,
Oh, and
much to the chagrin of all my teammates.
the other issue is that how many rocks are you willing to commit to try and open things up, and then how bad do things get if you miss and they just keep piling rocks in and stuff or block off paths. So Waddington is looking to close the door. Saw what Norris just threw. Uh, oh no, they're changing the shot. So I think they're looking to block that run back or the possible double. I don't think the double's there, but I think they just want to make sure. Oh, you know what could be there? Running the blue into the pile.
Yeah.
I think that's there. So I think they want to block that. Again, another key shot, and also by doing the shot, it's kind of tipping their hand to say, "It's like, hey, see, we see this possible shot for you," and the other sometimes the other team doesn't consider that to be a shot, but it's like, "Oh, they're blocking this. We might as well try it and stuff."
You often hear commentators talk about how sometimes it's about what shot you want to leave your opponents.
Hmm.
So, case in point, Bruce Mouat's decision to go for the really tough shot in the extra end for that Olympic gold. You know, it's he was kind of thinking that I want to make the hard shot and give Nick the hardest shot possible.
Yeah,
So Bill might be, baiting Clyde into doing something crazy and giving up the win.
yeah. This weight actually lifts up. I wonder if he's trying to kind of
Put another one in the house.
or wick and roll. So he definitely hits, not a
Oh
wick.
yeah.
So it does block off the path that was there, but I think the nosing the blue onto the yellows could still be there. Oh, that's a really long run back. Maybe never mind, guys. That's almost 20 feet. They don't want to take it on for some reason. The other game that was on the sheet wrapped up, and that was a finish.
Oh wow. A four ender for the win
Yeah,
for Stephanie.
yeah. Stephanie was behind. Would have been 8-5 going into that last end, and they had to steal the win. So it looks like Norris is down on the other side of the ice. Jamie said, "This is for the game. Looking to draw, needs to be full 8 foot for the win, for the point for the win."
Oh,
And
he.
his shot's away. A little bit of a bobble.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's a little nervous or maybe a little amped up. It's hard to tell sometimes.
Sweepers are sweeping
Yep.
really hard. It'll be
His
close.
last shot was heavy. He may have over adjusted.
Oh
Oh,
no.
it's too. Oh, it's pretty close.
Oh
Oh no, they're off
no.
of it. And it's handshakes as Waddington scores
GG's
3
three.
for the win. Oh my goodness. That was a game. And that definitely makes things very complex here.
How
Uh,
much math are we gonna have to do, Ryan?
let's take a look at the standings. Waddington is at 3-1. I don't think we have to do any math in the A group. Spangler went through undefeated, and Waddington at 3-1 grabs that second berth because the other two teams are either 2-2 or less than that. The men's group is gonna. This is gonna be the math is hard bracket
For
because
Group B.
yeah, Group B we have Team Hurst as the outright group winner at 3-1, And then we have a three-way tie between Team Burnt of Orange County, Team Malloret of Oval Curling, and Team Stephanie of Wine Country. And I think they all beat each other. Like Burnt beat Stephanie, and Stephanie beat Malloret, and then Malloret beat Burnt, but they lost to Stephanie. And then yeah, so it's
So it's all going to come down to the draws, the
I think the
LSD,
draw shots. But also it's going to come down to draw shot. I think to eliminate one of the teams, and
and then we'll have
we'll have a
tiebreakers.
tiebreaker, I believe. We had space and time for one tiebreaker. I think that we had a question for the rules official, so I think we're reaching out to him to finalize that for sure. So
Stay tuned.
I know so much action. We'll be posting this information on our Facebook page, and we're wrapping up. We'll be almost 1 minute. That's great. We're also going to try and take photos and post those to Facebook. So we're going to wrap things up for now, but we got more games tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, I have one more game to play.
And then hopefully end on a high note.
Oh, it's not. We're playing the top seed. We're trying
I
to score 1 point.
mean, you could be spoilers, like one shot, one end at a time, and then hopefully you build into something. So,
Well, it's been nice sharing the commentary with you, Ryan. I'm so glad you finally gave me a chance and an opportunity to hijack your live stream.
yeah. Thank you so much. Our next game is what time is the next game?
I believe 8 p.m. is the first
So
practice.
8:30 is going to be when we're starting the broadcast. We don't air the practices. I mean, you probably see that when on the live streams, like why, like practicing this thing.
Yeah, sometimes they do though. It was
Yeah.
interesting. The World Curling Tour, the I
Mm.
think the Baden Masters.
Baden
Oh,
or Baden. I think you're right, Baden.
yeah.
Uh,
So they showed the practices for that.
mm. So that's going to be at 8:30, and then we have two more games tomorrow. We have a possible women's final, depending on how the round robin ended up, and then we have that's going to be at 1:30, and then we have the championship game at 5 o'clock. So a lot more action to come. But for now, for all of us here at MoPac, the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club, this has been Ryan with joined by Micah.
Micah,
Thank you so much, Micah.
thank you.
And for you watching at home, thanks for tuning in. We will see you in just over an hour, just under an hour. Oh, we're going fast.